Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Adrienne. Thank you so much for being here today. So we are going to be talking about some of the tomato varieties that we are planning to plant out this year. So in full transparency, the way that we typically do things is I start the seeds that I'm really interested in that I have in my stash, and if for whatever reason those don't work out, we will go to our local nursery. And sometimes there are just varieties that I choose not to start at home because I know that I can get those from my local nursery, and I love that I can get them from my local nursery because I know that they actually start theirs by seed, so they're not actually going over and getting them and having them brought in. They're actually starting each and every plant by seed. So I thought that we would just kind of go through this list of the varieties that I'm looking to purchase that I haven't purchased already, some that I have on hand, and yeah. So I just want to start off by saying we do not plan to plant out a ton of tomatoes this year. Last year we actually had a really good tomato season, which was our first really good tomato season. Now, we have a lot of tomatoes in our freezer that I just haven't gotten around to preserving. However, what I'm finding is that once we do however many batches of sauce that we do, we really prefer to have some really good fresh eating. Now, what I'll most likely do with a lot of the tomatoes that I have is I will go ahead and do more salsa. I like to have kind of a smooth salsa as opposed to chunky, and I will be doing some different sauces. I will be doing more tomato sauce. It's time for me to do more tomato sauce. And then next year I'm hoping to do more canned tomatoes because I do like to throw canned tomatoes in different things. But yeah, another thing that I really want to work on this year is figuring out how to grow and how to get a lot of paste tomatoes. Paste tomatoes have been the hardest thing for me to grow. I don't know why, but I typically just cannot get a good harvest of paste tomatoes. So even though I'm making sauce, my sauce of course ends up being runnier even after I've cooked it down really well. I just prefer to make my sauce with paste tomatoes. So I'm hoping that this year I can get a good harvest of paste tomatoes. So I will be planting out quite a few paste tomatoes and also trying some different varieties because the ones in the tried and true ones that I've had in the past just have not worked well for me. So I think what we'll do is just go through this list and talk about ones that we've grown in the past and ones that are kind of new to us. I do have this list here. Some of them I've already purchased the seeds. The others I'm going to be purchasing tonight. And yeah, now this list may grow. I may be saying that I'm not going to grow a lot of tomatoes, but full transparency, that always changes. But what I do know is that I won't be growing as many of the each individual variety. Oh, there's one that let's see. Forgot that we really loved last year. So first one that we are going to be growing for sure. Well, this one, these two kind of go, they're kind of in the same, yeah, let me just say them, the Sun Sugar and the Sun Gold. Now, those two, my oldest daughter loves. One thing that I do love to do with tomatoes is I like to grow a lot of different colored tomatoes. My oldest daughter really loves the orange kind of yellow tomatoes, so I try to always have those in the garden. Last year, I tried one that was like a yellow pear tomato, I think it is what it was. Absolutely hated it. Every single one of those tomatoes cracked before we could even get them off of the plant. I don't know what was going on with that tomato plant. We had two of them and they both did the same thing. They were super prolific, but no matter how quick we got them, they cracked, and it wasn't even worth it for me. Now, I'm going to go through this list and I think I'm going to do them by type. The next cherry tomato that I know that we love, that we've always grown, is the large red cherry tomato. Now, as I'm going through this list, there are tomatoes, like for instance, right now, the only tomato seeds that I have that are current are these. Now, I have a ton of tomato seeds. However, these are a little bit older. So what I did this morning, let me stop and say this. What I did this morning was I went through all of my seeds, all of every type of seed, peas, peppers, tomatoes, everything. And I threw out those seeds that I have been holding on to from like 2020, 2021. Now, absolutely understand that those may do well. However, I tested a lot of those seeds last year and they were very slow to germinate. And some of those seeds, some of them I had packets that didn't even have seeds in them. Not everything was thrown out. My tomato seeds I still have here, so I may just play around with some of these. However, a lot of these tomatoes that I have just didn't do well for us. So I think I'm kind of in a place where I just want to try something new. Now, the ones that we did last year from our local nursery, I am going to be purchasing a lot of those seeds because they did extremely well for us. So that is where we are. I've kind of taken a step back from feeling like I need to start all of these seeds to let me start the ones that I know we really like and maybe start a few more of those to ensure that we have those plants. So, all right, as far as a cherry tomato that is new to us, the Isis Candy cherry tomato, that is an M.I. Gardner tomato that I really want to try. I love the color of it. I'm kind of drawn to the color. So I think we're going to try that and see how we do with that one. I think my girls will really love those. One of the things that I do like to do in the garden, even though we're planting a lot of staples this year, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, I really love color in the garden. And even if that color comes from, and I'm trying to pull these up as we talk about them, even if that color comes from our tomato plants, I really, really love it. It's something that I enjoy and I feel like I will always do. Okay, guys, I'm sorry. I'm trying to get into my account so that I can see these tomatoes as we talk about them. So the next cherry tomato, so let's see, we talked about the Sun Sugar, the large red cherry, the Isis, the Sun Gold. I really want to try the Cherry Bomb. Now the Cherry Bomb is from Johnny's and it's just pretty. It's just one of those that looks so pretty. And I think it's going to be one that we can add to our cherry tomato collection. Now, the Sakura is another cherry tomato. And I heard about this one over on Whispering Willow Farms. Now, they typically grow the majority of their things in their greenhouse. And I know that this tomato says that it does really well for the greenhouse. However, I really want to try it just to see how it does outside. Now, what my goal is this year is to start narrowing down those tomatoes that really work for me. I do not want to grow a ton of varieties of tomatoes. That gets overwhelming for me. It's the same with peppers, and we'll talk about peppers on a different video. So I am willing this year to kind of put a few more in that I've never grown, but that are gonna be staples. So you won't hear me talking about like crazy colored tomatoes and all those things. I'm really trying to focus in on what really works well. And so on this list, I have a couple that really worked well for us last year, but I need a few more that can be my staples. So hopefully that makes sense. So another cherry tomato, I think that's it for the cherry tomatoes. So yeah, that's the Sun Sugar, the large red cherry, the Isis Candy, the Sun Gold, the Cherry Bomb, and the Sakura. So I think those are cherry tomatoes that we are going to look into growing this year. Now, for slicing tomatoes, this list will probably be narrowed down a little bit more. I tend to get a ton of slicing tomatoes, and we love them for fresh eating. However, we don't go through them enough with fresh eating to where we end up freezing them, and I don't know, like, I don't like the consistency of sauce with slicing tomatoes. Maybe that's just me, but I'd rather just have slicing tomatoes for fresh eating and fresh salsa. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody, but it's just, we end up with more than what we can do anything with, and I'd prefer to just have enough. Okay. So the slicing tomatoes that we are going to be growing this year is the Dr. Wychees now, or Dr. Witchies. I start this tomato every single year. Full transparency, for some reason, when I go to harden off my plants, they don't always fare well. I couldn't tell you why. I don't know what's going on with them. However, I always start this tomato. I have not been able to find one that is local, like at my local greenhouse. So I am going to start a couple of those to maybe see if we can get something out of them this year. I hear so many people saying how much they love those and how they're like the best, and they're really big tomatoes. So hopefully I'm able to get a harvest off of those. I'm also going to be doing the pink girl again this year. So the pink girl was introduced to me by one of my friends who lives in Tennessee. I'm in Mississippi, if you don't know. And that is the only tomato that they grow. I love the look of the pink girl. We love the taste of the pink girl. However, we dealt with blight so bad early with our pink girl tomatoes. And every day I was out there like literally pruning to a point where I was like, I don't know that they're going to survive. But once they started to produce, they did pretty well. And so I do want to give them another try. I will probably start maybe 3 of those, 2 or 3. And I do know that those I can pick up from my local nursery. So just depending on how they're faring here, I'll pick a couple more of those up just to make sure that I have some. Now, our last frost date is April 2nd, but we typically don't plant out until, right after Mother's Day. So I still have time to kind of start my plants, get them going, and then if I need to pick up some from my local nursery, then I will do that. All right, so the next slicing tomato that would be new to us this year is the Mountain Princess. Now, this is on Emma Gardner's website, and it just looks very pretty. And I will be honest, last year, I didn't do a really good job of writing down the varieties that I picked up from my local nursery. Some of them I can remember. I just can't remember them all. And I want to say that the Mountain Princess was one that I picked up from my local nursery. What I do know about my local nursery is that they start all of their seeds. So I think a lot of their seeds are probably coming from some of the same websites like Johnny's and different things that we're picking up our seeds from. So if I can start my own, that would be great. However, they sell their plants $17 a flat. So, if I need to go and purchase them, that's fine. However, I would really love the satisfaction of being able to start my own plants and having everything that I start go out into my garden. Every year, I will continue to try to do that. Sometimes I shy away from it because, you're thinking, I've done all of this work and what did I get out of it? But I'm going to just keep trying, and maybe this year will succeed. Who knows? All right. So, the next one, which is the tried and true that we do every year, for some reason, ours don't grow super big, but the big beef. Big beef is one that I will always put in my garden. I'll probably just put a couple of plants out there. It's one of those that I know will grow something. So we'll do the big beef, and there's another one I can't remember, but anyway. Another one is the Celebrity Plus. The Celebrity Plus we tried for the first time last year. We got that from our local nursery, and it did pretty well. We had some nice sized fruit on that one, so we'll definitely try that one this year. I think it'll be a really good slicing tomato. Doesn't have to be a huge one. I'm not really hung up on having huge tomatoes, so I'm okay with having just a regular size, nice, round slicing tomato. All right, so the next one that I think we'll try this year is the Abigail. I really love the look of it. I am picking this one because it is very similar to the Pink Girl. I really love the Pink Girl tomato. I love I don't know if it's, I don't know what it was, but it was just super sweet to me. It was just a nice flavor. So I saw the Abigail, and my niece's name is Abigail, so I would just love to try the Abigail tomato. Again, a lot of these are ones that I'm just kind of reading the description and just kind of deciding if I want to try these to see if they can be my staples, okay? So we're going to do the Abigail, and then we're going to do the New Girl. I have tried the Early Girl tomatoes several times and just not been super impressed with them. The New Girl is supposed to kind of be a different spin on the Early Girl. So I figured we would try that one to see if we can get some earlier fruit, because it is supposed to fruit earlier than some of the other tomatoes. So I think that would be a good opportunity to try that one and maybe see if it works well for us. Another one is the Jolene. So I actually purchased the Jolene seeds, I believe, from Etsy, because I didn't know that Johnny Seeds sold them. Now, I don't know if they've always sold them, but I want to say that I heard about the Jolene from Living Traditions Homestead, maybe. I could be wrong. But even if not, that's another one that just kind of, I want to try and see if we really like that one, to see if that would be a staple. Another one that we got from our local nursery last year that I super duper loved was the Mountain Fresh. That tomato was super prolific for us. I really loved it. It wasn't just like this, oh my gosh, tomato. It was just a really nice tomato that we really, really loved. It was really good. We used that tomato. I really think that one we used the most with fresh eating and with salsa, and it was really, really good for that. Another one that I'm going to look for this one while we're here. I don't know if I can find it, like, I don't know. I may have to get this one from my local nursery, but it was the Goliath tomato. It was a pretty good producer. I wouldn't say that there was anything fancy about it, but I think once it got going, we did pretty good with it. And if I don't get the Goliath, I will get one that's maybe and I want to say maybe the Mountain Fresh. I don't know. Maybe we'll do the Goliath, maybe we won't, but I think it was pretty good. Again, if I don't get the seeds, then I will just pick those up from my local nursery. All right, so we're going to talk about paste tomatoes. And if you guys have a tried and true tomato that you really want me to try, and you're like, you need to try that one, you need to, see how this does, please put that in the comments. Please put it in the comments for others who may be looking for tomato varieties that they've never heard of. I typically love going through and watching these type of videos because I think you can learn so much from others. But then I also say go back and do your research and kind of read up on them, because greenhouse growing and outside growing is totally different. So you want to make sure that you're getting varieties that work for your growing and what you are planning to grow. So don't just take someone's word for it. Make sure you do your research. Make sure you go and check in and see, okay, this may be a good variety or it may not. You never know. All right, so call me crazy. Call me crazy. When it comes to paste tomatoes, I still have not found one that I, absolutely love. Always tried Roma's. I've always tried San Marzano. I've always tried Amish paste. Now, in full transparency, last year we planted out Roma's. The local nursery that we go to had 2 different kinds of Romas. I didn't know that there were 2 different kinds of Romas, and so I don't know that I grew them properly. I don't know if I don't know. They all got really early blight, but I don't know if I cared for them properly. So I'm gonna give them another chance. I am going to try my best to start my own Roma tomatoes. I just want to see if maybe I can do something different and just really take care of them, because I see so many gardeners that have the best luck with Romas. I've just never had that luck. San Marzano and Amish paste, the only time that I've tried those, and the reason I want to try those again, is because when we first moved into our home, we were trying to plant out in our ground. Like, you know, we put some compost on top. I just don't think none of the plants that we put over there worked well. Well, now that we have our raised beds, we're going to try that again. And what I would love is to only take up maybe 2 16-foot beds with the amount of tomatoes that I want this year. And then, of course, with my determinate tomatoes, they'll have their own space and I'll plant some things around them. But we're just going to try those again to maybe see if there's a difference in how we grow them, and again, how we're able to take care of them. So we will be doing a couple of plants of, you know, few plants or whatever of Amish paste, San Marzano, and Romas. The other paste tomato that we tried last year, now y'all, again, do your research. I went and I got the Rutgers or the Rutgers tomatoes from my local nursery. And I didn't know that it was a semi-determinate. Now, some people say they're determinate. Some people say they're semi-determinate. I've heard some people say that they use them as paste tomatoes. I will say that the ones that we grew, I used as for a sauce. And it actually did really, really well for me. And I enjoyed it. I only grew 1 plant of them. So I'm going to try that again, because if I can't get those paste tomatoes to do well for me, I do know that that one did pretty well, and I do like the fruit that I got from that, and I like the sauce, the consistency that I was able to get from that. So we're going to do that one. And then I think that's it. I'm super excited. Every year I say that I don't want to take the time to really start seeds, but if I want to be cost effective, I really need to get this skill down, because it could really save us a lot of money. And yeah, so that's what we're going to do. But I hope that you guys really enjoyed this video, and I hope that you found some new varieties that maybe you had never heard of. Again, every year I'm still trying to find those tried and true. So hopefully next year I'll have my tried and true, and then I can just add a few new and extra fun things in. But there's no harm in trying and just trying to figure out something that works best for you. You never know until you try. So anyway, friends, thank you so much for joining us. We will be doing another video talking about pepper varieties, cucumber varieties, all the things. I'm a little bit late to ordering seeds, but we can always go through and look up seeds together. And yeah, so if you have any tried and true tomatoes that you would like to share with me below, let me know in the comments, and I look forward to talking to you guys soon. Bye, friends.